Hi, it's Dale Beaumont here. I'm with Kathy Ewers from Inc. Wealth, and in this video we're going to go through a market update, and specifically we're going to talk about interest-only loans, what you really need to know right now, so keep watching. So tell us about interest-only loans. Why is this such an important topic right now?
Right, so APRA have come over the banks and they've put in some very strict regulations around interest-only loans. And it did start about 2 years ago, and it's become stricter and stricter to the point that we're at now. So just to give you a little bit of inside information, at the peak of the market, interest-only loans were about 40% of all loans written. Now, interest-only means that you're not actually reducing the principal down on your loan. And what a lot of borrowers do is, especially investors, Dale, I mean, this is what you do.
That's right.
You want to pay down your home loan first and have your investment loans interest-only. So what they're doing is they're rolling out 5-year term, apply for another 5-year term, and then even another 5-year term. And what ends up happening is when the bank finally says no more interest only, the clients end up with, say, a 15 or 10-year principal and interest loan, and they can't afford the loan repayments. So that loan then needs to be repaid within 10 years. So they were really worried about what was happening in the market, and they introduced some really strict lending criteria for the banks, basically.
And what that means is it's now harder to actually get interest-only loans. Do you want to explain that to us?
So it is a lot harder, and it swings and roundabouts. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, they really put the brakes on the banks, and they said that they're only allowed to have 30% of their books as interest-only loans. So a lot of the banks were well above that at 40%. So there's a period of time where the banks virtually said, don't come asking for an interest-only loan while we get that criteria under control. And then what happened was the banks, as soon as the banks came within that 30% lending, and some went even better, 20%, all of a sudden interest-only loans were back on the market with vigour. So it's sort of 1 minute there's no interest-only, all of a sudden they've got some leverage there within their buffers, and next thing they're advertising interest-only rates to try and pull that market back in. But interest rates have changed for interest-only lending, Dale, so that's another thing that I just wanted to touch on. So interest rates for interest-only lending, there's now a buffer between principal interest and interest-only. So if anybody's got an interest-only loan out there, you'll probably know that over the last 12 to 24 months, the banks have increased that buffer above a principal and interest loan. And then again, they've added a buffer if you've got interest only on an investment property. So whereas we used to have just one interest rate fitted all types of properties and all types of products, there's now staggered interest rates for owner-occupied, investment, interest only, and principal and interest. Now, just to give you an update of what's happening as of late, the banks, as of late, I've noticed they're advertising some pretty good interest-only loans. So it's very interesting to see how things ebb and flow with the banks.
All right, so if we think we're maybe affected by what you're talking about, and what do we do next? Should we just get in touch with you and have a chat? What are our options?
I think you really need to speak to your broker. It is a minefield. It's something that we need to stay over ourselves now. With all the banks that we cover, there's 4 different types of rates that we need to be over. And every bank also has different policy on whether you can roll over to another interest-only period or not, and how you do that. So, in a lot of instances, the only thing I can do with my clients is basically to refinance them to another lender and grab them another 5 years interest-only.
Okay, so Kathy, anything else to know before we actually close?
No, look, I think just get in touch with us and we can help you with any questions.
All right, great. If you want to know the next steps, then keep watching this video.
If you want to discuss your financial needs with someone you can trust, visit incwealth.com.au and claim your obligation-free 15-minute phone consultation today.